Echo Fan Grey Wolf. This is my TikTok. This is the video.
I'm getting real tired of trying to make this video, yo. I'm up to like 11 or 12 on this thing, so we're gonna make sure that this 60 60-second video is the final video. I'm going to go to YouTube, the Indigenous Erasure, the original Native Americans, and Native Americans who are born and bred that are actual Native Americans, because I'm in both of these categories, and it pisses me off to no end that my two heritages are at war with each other. And in Black History Month too. So that kind of pisses me off even more. So, that being said, I'm going to go to YouTube, I'm going to make this video, and then I'm going to have me some fun. And that's going to be it, because I have a little bit more freedom of speech on YouTube versus TikTok, so that's where I'm going to take this. You find a video, good for you. Thanks for watching. Won't be until I'm getting real tired.
Okay. So, we're going to begin with this. Before I begin with this, let me apologize. Let me apologize to both Native people and Black people, because you probably aren't aware. If you're not on TikTok, you're probably blessed right now, because you're not aware of the bullshit that's going down on TikTok. Alright? So, this Indigenous erasure shit has been happening for damn near a year now. Maybe longer. First it started with Native heritage appropriation, not appreciation, and it started with some people wearing war bonnets and pretendians and shit like that. And so natives have been on their ass about the shit. And then all of a sudden, there was a black woman in a war bonnet doing this shit. And then there has been another black woman talking about how Native Americans went to native school to learn how to be native. When we all know that residential schools was trying to teach people how not to be native. Kill the Indian, save the man. And there's a bunch of pseudoscience and a bunch of black photoshopped natives all over the place on TikTok. Alright? Now, before anybody gets into their feelings about my side, because I am fighting on my Native American side. Because you don't have Native Americans going around telling black people that they aren't black, and they're not jumping down black people's throats about dumb shit. Where the black people who are doing this Indigenous erasure shit is like doing everything against natives. This is why I apologized a few seconds ago. If you're not aware, now you are. And I'm going to apologize again to the black people who are decent and know their history versus the black people who are trying to say that Native Americans are not natives. Okay? Now, years ago, I went with Native Science about the land bridge, but the land bridge has recently been debunked, making me wrong. So, something's gonna be explained eventually. But anyway, let's get down to business. Native erasure is happening all over TikTok. There are meetings happening on TikTok as we speak right now, and there are black people on TikTok chucking down natives. You're not native. You're not native. You're not really a native. You're a Siberian person or some shit like that. And I'm like, okay. And then they're chalking it down and chalking it down, and they are totally discrediting Native Americans who are native. They literally are saying Native Americans are not native, and that they are anything but natives. Now, if you guys do migration happened. Everybody eventually began in Africa and came out of Africa. So now you have these people who are going around saying that the African slave trade never happened because they can't find the slave ships. And unlike most people who don't do their history, like usually when you use a boat to go somewhere and you don't plan on coming back, you commission the boat to become part of the land structure in which you are going to build. So a lot of these forts that was built back in the day were parts from the boat. You know, they literally got the boat ashore, took it apart, and built command structures. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But at that same time, now you have all the natives from the top of the North Pole to the bottom of Chile or South America fighting for their indigeneity, where you have a small group, not a big group of black people, but a minority of black people on TikTok telling all native people that they aren't native. You know, and now everybody suffered during the slave trade. Natives, blacks, Irish, everybody suffered. And everybody has been a slave or know a slave. And for some reason, people are trying to distance themselves from that part of their history. Well, I am not ashamed to say that I am part native, part black, and part white. Which means I probably had some slavage in the family somewhere. My government last name is Williams, which means my grandfather on my father's side was owned by somebody last name Williams. We don't know our last names from Africa because they were taken from us and they were wiped out. And as generations pass, whoever owns your ancestor, that's the name they got. That's historical facts right there. Black people, if you're mad, go do your research. I'm going to leave it right there. My mom's dad was part black and part white. He was mixed. His last name was Rose, like the flower. So he also grew up in a time where, mixing wasn't the thing, but my grandfather was white passing or white presenting, so you couldn't tell what fucking color he was until he died. When he died, he came close to my color, but he still looked like a white man with a tan. Where my mom is white passing and white presenting because I lost her 3 times in a crowd. She literally looks white like a white woman. Now, my dad's mom was native or mixed native, and her mother was native. Alright? So I'm still trying to figure out if I'm Chickahominy or Cherokee. My mom's mom is also mixed native or native. She was adopted, and she was raised by black people. So we have a big black influence in our family, and I think me and my little cousin are the only ones on my mom's side doing the native heritage thing. On my dad's side, I have run into some resistance from my dad's people's people who are kin to him on his mom's side, on the native side. They don't want to share information, and they want to be dick bags full of douche tips. That came out completely wrong. They want to be douchebag full of dick tips and dumpster fires. And I would say that it would work better if we worked together, but they don't want to do that. So whoever they are, you're pieces of shit. I have every right to our ancestor as you do. I'm not trying to get any money. I'm just trying to get recognition. So as an actor, I've been James Williams Jr. for 40 some odd years, and 20 out of the 40 some odd years chasing my acting career, unless you see my own projects on YouTube, whether it be Kung Fu Epic #1 or this one, I haven't gotten work as an actor. Couldn't get arrested as an actor. Because as a mixed person, I clearly don't look black enough to play a black person. I clearly will never be white, so that's not an option. And no one's writing stories for mixed people. So Rock, if you're listening, write stories for mixed people so that I can work. Alright? Because I want to act to be happy. I don't want to act to be rich. Although it wouldn't hurt to have some money. It really wouldn't. But being in front of the camera makes me happy. And I'm comfortable there. I don't like live audiences. But, if there's a paycheck involved, I can learn to like live audiences. Irrelevant. What is relevant is that TikTok has gone ballistic with Indigenous erasure. Now, TikTok generally stops misinformation. The same thing that Twitter does, but I'm permanently suspended on Twitter, and they still haven't explained why, but yet the girl that got me suspended is still there. And all I told her was knock herself out when she was threatening to unalive herself. Knock yourself out is one of my catchphrases. I got it from Brandon Lee, and I never stopped using it, and it fits damn near every situation when somebody says something, and I'm a dumbass, I'll admit it. Somebody else says something, the first thing I'll say is knock yourself out. It's like if somebody comes to me and say, I'm going to punch you in the face. Knock yourself out. And they'll be like, what? I said, you heard me? Knock yourself out. But after I get up, I'm going to knock you out. You understand how it works? Knock yourself out. It's really not that damn complicated. But Twitter has suspended my shit. So, it is what it is. I'm not going to cry about Twitter because they kind of support racism on some degree or whatnot. But anyway, the bottom line is that this racial incident with native erasure is mostly coming from black people. Which is, again, why I apologize at the beginning of this video that if you are black and I pissed you off, I'm sorry. But you're going to have to take it up with the black people who claim that Native Americans are not the true Native Americans of this land. Alright? Now, I'm not trying to have any net beef. Don't bring the smoke because I send warnings, not invitations. If you're coming at me, you're coming for the ass whooping of your life, and it's going to be your own damn fault because we're on the internet. And do you really think you're going to meet me in the street and try something stupid? You watch my videos. I don't recommend you meeting me in the street and thinking that you're gonna whoop my ass. There's always gonna be one person that's gonna try you when you're a martial artist, and they're gonna fuck around and find out. I'm sorry for swearing. But here's the thing, man. I've had a lot of bad black experiences. And the thing is, I've had to prove my blackness to black people. I've had to do it over and over and over and over and over again. And no matter what, still not black enough, because they can always go racial and say, well, you ain't really one of us, you a half-breed. I have been called a zebra. I have been called a Mexican. I have been called a spick. I have been called everything under the sun. Alright? And when people aren't exposed to mixed people, they don't really know how to identify us, and they don't know how to express themselves peacefully. They have smart shit to say, and they're always saying dumb shit. But Indigenous Erasure, there's no excuse for this shit. There's no excuse for this shit at all. Africa happened. Pangea, Tangea, whatever. It probably happened when the continents all divided and went the wrong way. But by then, migration had already probably started. So, what is the problem? The problem is that a lot of people who are black don't want to acknowledge their blackness. And I get it, but here's the thing. As a young child, I've always tried to acknowledge my blackness. But every time I did, it was black people who generally told me, you ain't black. I've had 2 bad Native American experiences my entire life. 2. By a family of natives who straight told me I wasn't pure, and they didn't want me dating the chieftain's daughter. Okay, I can respect that, but at that time period in my life, I was young and I was dumb, and my great-grandmother nor either one of my grandmothers ever prepared me to ever meet other natives, because we were not raised on the res. So we have no clue how the res works. And my grandmother on my mom's side, not raised on the res. She's mixed native or all native. We don't know, because she was adopted and raised by black people. My grandmother on my dad's side, mixed native or all native. We're not sure. But her mother, all native. Now, according to what I've been looking at, it's a possibility that they're Chickahominy and not Cherokee. Alright? Where my grandmother on my mom's side might be Cherokee. And I'm going to do all this research and find all that shit out, because I'm sick and tired of not being able to do this. I got to find a blood quantum test. I got to find a geneticist. All kinds of shit. So I can do genealogy, because my DNA is looking like I am a white man. Alright? From Ancestry. So I'm going to do a 23andMe and see if they're going to be able to do my phenotype and all that, because phenotypically I look more native. So, and a lot of people think that I was Mexican, but Mexicans are also Native Americans. They were native to this land before borders were put up, right? Which is also something that pops up on TikTok all the time. And then we have some native infighting. So if you're Native American, this is where the apology to you came. Because when I started TikTok and I found up on native TikTok, there were light-skinned native, brown-skinned natives, and darker-skinned natives, darker than me. And everybody's like, well, if you're this color or that color, you're not full native. You're not native. You're not native. And they generally directed that to the people who were lighter than me and to the people who were much darker than me. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? I just thought that colorism was a black thing, and I kind of find out it's not a black thing. It's an every race thing, except maybe white people. Because white people have 2 shades of white. Tan and ghostly white. If you're white and that offended you, I am sorry, but that shit is true. A lot of white people are literally white. And some of them are a decent tan of white, but there are some white people that are highly white, like ghostly white. Alright, like white. So white that even if you get a tan, you're still going to be white. Cut off the lights and they'll still be bright. Anyway, moving on. So, the infighting in TikTok with natives has stopped for a little bit. But then there are natives who's like, we don't really want to accept all the mixed natives. But the mixed natives, we're coming home. We're on our reconnecting journey. We're coming home. And that's finally being accepted. But now the native indigenous erasure shit's happening. And my problem with that is the simple fact that the black people who are swearing that they are the original natives, calling themselves aboriginal instead of natives, well, the native people are still calling themselves natives. You see this clusterfuck that's happening? Now, the black originals, as they call themselves, or aboriginals, were also going around saying that they're gods. You see the clusterfuck that's happening. So you got to make up your mind if you're going to be black. Are you going to be a god? Or are you going to be native? You can't be both. You are not a god. If you can't open your hand and manifest a universe and create life, you are not a god. Stop telling yourself that lie. Alright? You can't shoot beams of light balls out of your hand and stop time and blast people. You are not a god, because those are godly powers. Alright? If you just exist, oh, I could fuck a black lady and have a black baby. I could fuck a white lady and have a black baby. I could fuck a Chinese lady and have a Chinese baby. But all the babies are still going to have black in them. Alright? That doesn't make you a god. It just makes you a very lucky man. Alright? Did 3 women accepted you and you knocked their asses up? Now, are you going to be a daddy, or do I have to follow suit and wind up being your fucking kid's dad because you was man enough to have sex with them, but you weren't man enough to live with the consequences of having sex? Alright? Moving on, because I know that was completely irrelevant, but that's the pitch, you know. Black man, white woman, black baby. Black man, Asian woman, black baby. Black man, black woman, black baby. And every other diaspora under the sun. Which is also something that they're, I guess, associating with godly factors in the Eve gene and shit that doesn't mean a fucking thing to me. Alright? The problem is really simple. The Aboriginal natives, the black guys, are screaming at the top of their lungs that the Native Americans are not natives. It's pissing me off. I'm picking my side, and that is going to be with the natives. Because having 2 bad racial experiences outweighs having a lifetime of them. And for the most part of my life, having to prove my blackness has been a pain in the ass. Either you're going to accept me or you're not. Now, I generally don't deny my heritage. I accept every bit of who I am, and you should do the same. And granted, there have been videos that I've made where I said I am ashamed to be black, but that's because black people have done some shit that has made me ashamed to be black. There's been white people videos that made me say I'm ashamed to be white, and there's been only two videos where 2 natives have made me ashamed to be native. Miss Rainbird was one, and I can't remember the other person, but Miss Rainbird just like went on a fucking thrash spree with somebody's RV. It's on this page somewhere. So now that all that shit's covered. Again, if this video is offensive, I apologize. I want to thank all 233 of you who are watching. Thank you for accepting me. And we need to stop Indigenous Erasure. That being said, I am Echo Fang Grey Wolf. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Be seeing you.